At first glance, it looks like nothing more than a small, forgotten piece of copper, the kind of coin people once ignored on the street because it wasn't even worth bending down to pick up. The 1990 South Africa 1 cent coin lived most of its life that way, passed from hand to hand without a second thought, tucked into pockets, dropped into jars, or left behind in old wallets. Yet behind its modest size and simple design lies a story that continues to fascinate collectors, historians, and everyday people who dream that something ordinary they own might secretly be extraordinary. The year 1990 was a turning point for South Africa. The country was standing at the edge of historic change, and the coins minted during this period became silent witnesses to that transformation. While banknotes often steal attention, it is the smallest denominations that tell the most honest stories. The 1 cent coin was part of daily life, used to buy sweets, make exact change, or simply round off a purchase. Millions were produced, but not all were created equal, and not all survived the years that followed. The coin itself carries a quiet elegance. Its copper tone reflects an era when even the lowest value currency was made from solid metal rather than coated alloys. The weight, the texture, and the sound it makes when dropped on a hard surface all feel different from modern coins. The design is restrained, purposeful, and rooted in tradition, showing craftsmanship that many people never noticed at the time. To the average person, it was just small change. To the trained eye, it was a snapshot of a nation's identity frozen in metal. As South Africa moved forward, the 1 cent coin slowly disappeared from circulation. Inflation reduced its purchasing power, and eventually it was no longer practical to use. Many were melted down, lost, or discarded. Children played with them, people stored them in jars, and others simply forgot they existed. What no one could predict was that certain examples from 1990 would one day become incredibly desirable, not because of what they could buy, but because of what they represented. Collectors began to notice subtle differences between coins that looked identical to everyone else. Small variations in minting, alignment, metal composition, and strike quality started to separate common pieces from rare ones. Coins that were perfectly preserved, never cleaned, never damaged, and stored away from moisture became increasingly difficult to find. Even more intriguing were pieces with unusual characteristics, coins that showed mint errors or unique traits that could only have occurred during a brief moment in production. Stories began to circulate within collector communities about a particular 1990 1 cent coin that stood apart from the rest. It wasn't flashy or oversized. It didn't sparkle with gold or shine with silver. Its power lay in its scarcity and its condition. As experts examined these coins more closely, they realized that only a tiny number met the criteria that made them truly exceptional. The gap between an ordinary 1 cent coin and a legendary one was wider than anyone had imagined. The excitement grew as auctions and private sales revealed astonishing prices. What once filled old jars and drawers was suddenly being re-examined under magnification and bright lights. Families began checking inherited collections. People remembered old tins of coins stored away decades earlier. Every so often, a remarkable example surfaced, and with each discovery, the legend of the 1990 1 cent coin grew stronger. What makes this story so powerful is not just the money involved, but the idea that value can hide in plain sight. This coin was never meant to be special. It was created to serve a simple purpose, to be used and spent without ceremony. Yet time transformed it. History wrapped around it. Rarity elevated it. Human curiosity and desire did the rest. In a world obsessed with the newest and the biggest, this tiny coin became proof that small things can carry enormous significance. Collectors today don't just see metal when they look at this coin. They see a chapter of South African history, a symbol of transition, and a reminder of how quickly the world can change. They see craftsmanship that no longer exists at the lowest levels of currency. They see the thrill of the hunt, the patience required to wait years or decades for the right piece to appear. And for many, they see hope, the hope that somewhere, maybe in their own home, something overlooked might be waiting to be rediscovered. The fascination surrounding the 1990 1 cent coin has spread far beyond traditional collectors. Social media, videos, and online forums have turned it into a modern legend. People who never cared about coins now listen closely to stories about mint errors, rare strikes, and extraordinary valuations. The idea that a coin once worth almost nothing could change a life has captured imaginations across the world. Yet for every legendary coin, there are thousands of ordinary ones. That contrast is what makes the story compelling. It teaches that value is not always obvious and that patience, knowledge, and preservation can turn the mundane into the remarkable. The 1990 South Africa 1 cent coin is no longer just currency. It is a conversation piece, a mystery, and a symbol of hidden potential. As time moves on, these rare examples become even harder to find. Each year that passes reduces the number of surviving coins in pristine condition. Each new collector adds pressure to an already limited supply. And with that growing demand comes rising value, pushing the coin further into the realm of legend. What began as pocket change has become a dream for collectors and a reminder that history often leaves its greatest treasures in the smallest packages. In the end, the story of this coin is not just about money. It is about perspective. It is about learning to look twice at the things we think we understand. It is about respecting the quiet witnesses of history that sit unnoticed around us. And it is about the astonishing truth that a simple 1990 South Africa 1 cent coin, once ignored and undervalued, is now spoken of in hushed tones for reaching a value of $1.9 million.